Why am I still obsessed with Breaking Bad in 2025? I catch myself on YouTube every few weeks, rewatching iconic scenes, and every single time I end up thinking, this show is ridiculous. It's too good. I've seen the whole thing 5 or 6 times by now. I know the twists, I know who dies and when, I know the beats of almost every major scene, and still, I genuinely wish I could erase it from my memory just to experience it again for the first time. So in this video, I want to dig into why this series still has such a grip on me after all these years, and especially why Walter White is still one of the most fascinating villains ever written.
This is not meth.
On paper, Walter White is the ultimate loser. He's in his 50s, a highly qualified chemistry teacher at a high school where the students don't care. He's underpaid, nobody respects him, and to make it to the end of the month, he has a second job, washing cars at a car wash. His boss talks down to him in front of his own students. At home, he's not exactly the center of the universe either. Skyler treats him almost like someone fragile who has to be managed, not like someone who actually decides anything. He has a son with a disability and a baby on the way. But before we even get to the pilot, we need to mention one detail from his past that completely changes how we see this character. Gray Matter. In his past, Walter co-founds a company with Elliot, Gray Matter Technologies. He's the brains, he's the genius. But when he meets Gretchen's rich family, his pride and his inferiority complex explode. The show hints that he has a romance with Gretchen, but we never know exactly what ends that relationship.
I feel so sorry for you, Walt.
Fuck you.
The only scene where we can really glimpse this past. The thing is, Walter walks away from the company, feeling small next to Gretchen, and Gray Matter ends up being worth billions. Elliot and Gretchen start a relationship. They're millionaires, while Walt gets relegated to a second-rate position in a public high school. Walter doesn't lose the fortune of his life because he was too good, but because he cannot stand feeling less than everyone else. That's the first crucial seed. Breaking Bad doesn't start with a good man corrupted from the outside. It starts with a guy whose ego is wounded and who's been stewing in resentment for years. Someone who, even if he never says it out loud, carries a mantra inside. I'm smarter than all of these people, and the world owes me. That gives us the perfect breeding ground to finally start, properly, with Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad has one of the best pilot episodes I've ever seen. People often say the show starts slow, and I couldn't disagree more. Let's just look at one of the first scenes in the series. Walter can't sleep. He gets up in the middle of the night to do a bit of exercise on this little stepper. In the bedroom, we see them picking wall paint colors, piles of baby gifts, toys, everything ready for the baby they're expecting. And in the middle of all that chaos, his awards on the wall, into the background, like the memory of what he once was, buried inside something we're not even sure he really wants. Just a glimpse. Then the cancer hits. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink excessively, he lives a relatively normal life, and still, lung cancer, terminal. And that feeling of unearnest is intentional, wants you to feel like life has just beaten this guy down over and over. As if that wasn't enough, the show gives him a noble motive. He has a son with cerebral palsy, a daughter on the way, a mortgage, debts. On a teacher's salary plus the car wash, there's no safety net. If he dies now, his family is screwed. And then comes the famous ride-along with Hank. In the pilot, Walter sees up close how much money the meth business makes, and that's where the show clicks. It reminds us that Walt is a brilliant chemist, a guy with real talent for something the world isn't using. When he connects the dots, cancer, family, talent, fast money, the question stops being, is this moral, and becomes, wouldn't you at least consider doing something similar?
You want to cook crystal meth? You and me.
That's right.
I mean, he's going to die. He's in extra time. The only thing on his mind is getting some money together to leave behind. We're not even talking about money for himself anymore. He's trying to leave something in the world with a bit more dignity. That's why the pilot hits so hard. In under an hour, it gives you the protagonist and the wound he's been carrying, his present life and stakes, the cancer, pills, the baby, the son who depends on him, the moral spark, the ride-along, and the money and meth. The exact moment he crosses the line, the first doorway into the criminal world, the RV, Emilio, Crazy 8, the introductions of Jesse and the tone and visual identity of the show, and the question that drives the whole story. How far will a desperate man go when he believes he has nothing left to lose? Now I want to jump ahead a bit and talk about the deaths in Breaking Bad. There are several steps on this ladder into evil that Walt climbs throughout the series. First step, self-defense. In the pilot, we already get the first dead men, Emilio and Crazy 8. Everything spirals out of control. Chemistry, panic, chaos. Emilio dies in the RV. Then they chain Crazy 8 in the basement. And this is where the show really lingers. Walter doesn't just go downstairs and kill him. He hesitates. He brings him food. He talks to him. He makes a list of pros and cons about whether he should kill him. He tries to convince himself he can let him go and nothing will happen. Until he realizes a piece of the broken plate is missing. He understands Crazy 8 plans to stab him. And that's when he strangles him with the bike lock. It's a murder, yes, but in such an extreme physical situation that the viewer can still make the mental backflip of, in that situation, maybe I would have done the same. This first step is exactly that. Kill or be killed. Brutal, traumatic, but understandable. Second step, omission. Then comes Jane. Jesse finally finds someone who understands him. They fall in love. They get high together. Walt sees Jane as a threat. She takes Jesse out of his control, puts the money at risk, and is ready to blackmail him. He walks into the bedroom, sees Jesse passed out, sees Jane roll onto her back and start choking on her own vomit, and he freezes. He could turn her on her side. He could shout. He could call an ambulance. He does nothing. He cries while he watches her die, but he doesn't act. He doesn't kill her with his hands, but he lets her die because it benefits him to have her out of the picture. This is no longer self-defense. This is choosing someone's death because it's convenient for you. And even then, the show gives you enough room to lie to yourself. She was dragging Jesse down. She was going to destroy him. She was blackmailing him. You no longer kill to survive. You let others die if they're in your way. Third step, the jump to planned murder. After Jane, Walt crosses another line. He stops reacting and starts designing deaths. First, the scene with the two dealers who use kids as runners. Jesse wants revenge. Walt tries to stop him, but when he sees Jesse heading straight for suicide, he intervenes big. He runs the dealers over and shoots one in the head. Walt kills to protect his business and his main pawn. It's calculated inside the chaos.
Run.
And then Gale Boddicker appears. Walt works for Gus. He knows Gale is learning his method. He knows that as soon as Gale masters the recipe, he stops being essential. And when you stop being essential in that world, you're done. Walt's solution: send Jesse to kill Gale. Not rage, not panic.
We are. You'll have about a 20-minute lead. They've got me at the laundry and they're going to kill me.
Jesse, do it now! Do it, bitch! Do it!
A plan. He does the math, understands the risk, manipulates Jesse over the phone, and pushes him to pull the trigger on a guy who is, in the logic of the show, basically innocent, polite, kind, a chemistry and opera nerd. The Walter from the pilot would never have done this. At this point, he's no longer just accepting death as a side effect. He's using death as a tool to hold his position. This is the step from "I had no choice" to "this is what has to be done." Fourth step, killing becomes part of the system. From here, the list explodes and violence stops being exceptional. He He poisons Brock with Lily of the Valley just to manipulate Jesse. He blows up a nursing home to kill Gus, accepting the risk to everyone else inside. He orchestrates a train heist that ends with a kid getting shot. He argues with Mike, loses control, and kills him with a single shot. He orders the coordinated massacre of several inmates in under 2 minutes to protect himself. The show never tells you, this is fine. It does something much more twisted. It keeps you just deep enough inside Walt's head that you can see why he makes these decisions. It doesn't justify them, but it makes them understandable. There's something very interesting about Breaking Bad's direction. It's not a show that's constantly chasing the spectacular shot, but it uses the camera in a surgical way to blend the everyday with the tragic. It's less, look at this crazy shot, and more, look how this simple shot puts you inside the character's head. It's practically a meme how many episodes open with close-ups of random objects. A fly, a pizza on a roof, a pink teddy bear floating in a pool, a shovel, a bag, a prosthetic limb, some beers on a car hood. They're seemingly banal images, but they're always loaded with consequences. The object appears before you understand the context, and your brain spends half the episode wondering what happened and why that thing matters. When the scene finally connects, you feel the puzzle piece drop into place. That same logic applies to the rest of the staging. The show is full of unremarkable shots that actually tell you a lot. Walter boxed in by door frames or narrow hallways when he's still a powerless loser. Wide, symmetrical compositions when he already believes he owns the desert and everything in it. Shots from inside buckets, barrels, washing machines, drums, that turn the viewer into just another object inside Walt's criminal world, as if you too were trapped in that system. Even the use of color goes in the same direction. The depressing greens and beiges of his teacher life, Marie's absurd purple, the sickly yellow of the hazmat suits in certain interiors, the black tied to Heisenberg's hat. Nothing is random, but it's never underlined like the show is desperate to prove how clever it is. Everything is embedded in routine. Ugly middle-class houses, parking lots, grimy shops, empty deserts. And inside that normality, the camera tracks Walter's moral fall almost without you noticing, shot by shot. If you're into this kind of visual breakdown, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video just dissecting one specific scene from Breaking Bad. Now put Walter next to Hank and Jesse. Hank, on a first watch, feels like the loud, annoying brother-in-law. Macho, overconfident, cracking dumb jokes. But underneath all that, he's brave, loyal, and genuinely trying to do the right thing. He raises money for Walt's surgery, takes care of the kids when Skylar breaks down, throws himself into danger again and again. And yet, just like Walt, he's also blinded by pride. He never suspects Walt because in his mind, Walt is weak, harmless, the guy who couldn't possibly be a criminal. That blind spot is fatal.
To WW, my star, my perfect silence. WW. I mean, who you figure that is, yeah? Woodrow Wilson? Willy Wonka? Walter White? You got me.
The thing that kills Hank isn't Walt's bullet. It's Walt's ability to use Hank's perception of him against him for years. Jesse, meanwhile, starts as a punchline. The dropout, the junkie, the screw-up.
This ain't chemistry. Okay, this is art.
Oh.
Cooking is art, and the shit I cook is the bomb, so don't be telling me.
But he becomes the show's moral center. Jesse is the one who collapses every time someone dies. He's the one who can't live with the ATM kid, the boy on the bike, Gale, Brock. He's the one who keeps asking, how many more people have to die because of us? Walt's answer is always the same, as many as it takes. There's a moment, if you step back and look coldly, when the moral compass of the show shifts completely away from Walt. It points at Hank and at Jesse. They're not perfect, but they still feel the weight of the damage. Walt doesn't, not anymore. And that's why the moment he tells Skyler,
One more time that you did this for the family.
I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. And I was really...
lands as hard as it does. In one line, he destroys every justification, every lie he told his family and himself, and every lie we believed about him as viewers. It's the moment you realize the hero you rooted for was the villain the whole time, and you didn't notice because the show made you feel what he felt.
Ready or not.
Why does all of this still work today? Because Walter White fits a little too well into the kind of messaging we hear every day. We're surrounded by build your empire, be your own boss, do whatever it takes, don't be a loser. Everyone has to monetize their talent, scale, win, prove themselves. Walter is the dark version of all of that. He takes his real talent, chemistry, and pushes it to the extreme. He becomes the best in the world at what he does, makes a fortune, builds a personal brand as Heisenberg, refuses help, refuses rescue. He wants to be able to say, I did it. Heisenberg is the logo, the hat is the branding, the lab is the startup. He's not building a business, he's building a cult around his own name. And the central lie running through all of it is the same. I'm doing it for my family. But every time he has a real chance to protect them without killing more people, he turns it down. He could accept the gray matter money. He could stop when he has more than enough. He could walk away after Gus. He could run before dragging Hank, Jesse, and everyone else into the abyss. He doesn't, because at some point, it stops being about protecting anyone. It becomes about feeding an old, wounded ego that finally found a way to feel important. Breaking Bad works so well because it shows that becoming a monster isn't a jump. It's a slope.
Big enough
It's
that it could be
gradual.
listed on the NASDAQ,
It's
goes belly up,
comfortable.
disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skyler. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
There is always a good reason to cross one more line. That's Walter White's villain journey. And I think we're still obsessed with this show because deep down, we're not just watching the downfall of a chemistry teacher. We're watching a warning, a reminder of how easy it is to tell yourself a heroic story while doing things that, from the outside, are completely indefensible.
I don't know.
Who cares how you feel?
If you've made it this far, thank you. This show is still one of my all-time favorites, and this channel is just getting started. I'm making these videos for fun, to talk about the series that obsess me, and to try to offer a perspective you won't find everywhere else. If you enjoyed the video, leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing genuinely helps a lot, and it tells me to keep making long-form breakdowns like this. And I'll leave you with a question for the comments. At what point did Walter White stop being a hero for you?